My name is Nickel, Nickel, and as most of you guys probably know, there are a lot of games in China that are ripping off Overwatch. And as we've seen in the past, a lot of these games tended to be for mobile. But it turns out, Overwatch's own Chinese operator even made one themselves, NetEase. And because of that, Blizzard China is actually taking them to court. The winners of the last round of the Steam cards are at the end of this video, so if you left any comments recently, definitely stick around to the end of the video to see if you won. But with this video, a whole new round begins, and all you have to do to win one of 2 Battle.net cards is leave a comment on this video and subscribe with notifications turned on. So if you end up winning, you can get some Halloween loot boxes or whatever you want. So the game is called Heroes of Warfare, and it looks like the way they're branding it is by calling it the first ever mobile FPS MOBA game for Android and iOS. Some aspects of this game are ridiculously close to Overwatch. This map that you're looking at right now is basically just a snow version of Ilios Light Tower, but it's mostly empty. All the places where we have the bookshelves and the counters are just empty, but the final fight is blocked out the exact same way that Ilios Light Tower is. With the way that the stairs come down here, the point is a rectangle that faces the area off the map and has the lower ground to drop down to, as well as every door that you would come through in Overwatch. Obviously here they have the system where you can thumbs up the player that you like playing with, and maybe that's something that's more general, but the maps itself are pretty exact. This next map that they show, obviously here we have their version of a Reinhardt, but instead of a blue shield, it's yellow, but we still have the bowed meter so we know how much damage the shield is taking. But besides that, besides the fact that it's basically Reinhardt here, this map is pretty much exactly Ilios well. It doesn't even have the snow that the previous one did. You can see that on the same side, there's actually a character that's basically a mashup of Hanzo and McCree. It's McCree with Hanzo's face, essentially. And the character that's all in purple seems to be throwing some kind of stars. So one thing you might notice is that the maps here are blocked out exactly the same, but since it's on mobile, there's not enough room to fit in everything else. And if you notice there, the Reinhardt in this game, instead of having a hammer, has a sword. But despite that, his ultimate is still the same, where he slams it down in front of him, like we're used to seeing in Overwatch as the Earth Shatter. Not to mention that this character also has a fire strike. So it's just kind of crazy that Overwatch's Chinese operator, NetEase, would even consider making something like this when they already have a relationship with Blizzard and Blizzard China. This girl who throws the cards, I'm assuming, is supposed to be something like Zenyatta, because you can see that the enemy actually has the Discord orb at one point, and then the ally has the Orb of Harmony. In an article Kotaku wrote about this, they linked to a website called Jin115 that appears to be an archive of what's going on in this situation directly in Chinese. And the statement that's on that website says that NetEase carried out infringement on Blizzard China's intellectual property, specifically the company's FPS Overwatch, and also that it carried out unfair competition. Obviously this is translated, so the translation might be a little bit off, but it goes on to say that they announced they filed a suit against China's People's Court in one of the specific districts of Shanghai. And apparently Blizzard's already reached out to Apple to withdraw the game from their store, and it's expected to be removed soon. So the interesting thing is that Blizzard wants an apology and to seek monetary damages suffered. So as I said before, this is based on a translation, but from what I can tell here, the 2 things Blizzard want are an apology and whatever damages they suffered. I'm assuming they want the apology because they want to continue their working relationship with this company, but it's not exactly clear what form of an apology they want or exactly what the details of it are. And to get an idea of exactly how NetEase describes himself, the first sentence of their wiki is that NetEase is a Chinese internet technology company that provides online services centered around content, community, communications, and commerce. And the first couple games you see associated with them are Hearthstone, Crusaders of Light, Revelation Online, Immortal Quest, and Eternal Arena. So going back to the game again, obviously we have the maps that are spot on. We have the Reinhardt, the Hanzo McCree mashup, what I assume is supposed to be some kind of Zenyatta type of character. But then we also have this one, basically a white-haired Genji that even holds the weapon exactly the same and throws out 3 stars at a time, as you can see here on Ilios, or the snow version of Ilios. These next 2 screenshots I'm going to show you guys were actually included in the original write-up piece, but I'm not 100% sure they're actually in the game, since as you'll see in the second screenshot, some of those characters are from a game that we actually talked about in the past. I don't know necessarily that they are associated with this game. In this image, you can see that there actually is a quick match system, a ranked battling system, and a casual mode. And then at the bottom, some of the options they have are for hero, quest, ACHI, clip, bag, and shop. So it seems like they're monetizing this already, unless the shop is just for the coins that are at the top, which it looks like in this image, they have 10,000 coins. And then on the left, they actually have a section for your ranking, your email, your account, the core, and the events. I don't know exactly what the email would be. I'm assuming that's some kind of messaging system, but it's just called email. And at the very top, it looks like it actually has the same rank symbols as Overwatch. So this player appears to be in bronze. Or maybe they consider it bronze 1 since there's 1 star here. Because to the left of that, there's a separate thing for levels. My assumption is that the whole progression system is pretty much the same, just organized a little bit differently. And what's kind of odd here is that I don't know if that's supposed to be Iron Man as the player's icon, but it kind of looks like Iron Man. And if all this stuff is in the game, then I would assume that they would probably have no problem taking Iron Man's likeness either. In the screenshot you can see here, which Kotaku credited Hachima for taking, you can see that some of the other characters actually do resemble aspects of Overwatch, even if in that first batch it didn't seem like there were as many. And some of these you guys might actually remember. The group that's on the right obviously has the hero that has a hook and is just as big as Roadhog, except he's straight out of Mad Max. But it seems like this type of character is just in a lot of games in general. The bigger kind of guy who can hook people and bring them towards himself. Like in Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm, there's Stitches, the Abomination. In Overwatch, we have Roadhog. In League of Legends, we have Blitzcrank. So I guess you could write it off as that. And when I first saw this image, I wasn't even exactly sure if this was the same game. But according to the way this is all reported and grouped together, apparently it is, even though we don't actually see all the characters in this image. One of the really obvious ones is the Mercy that has an assault rifle and more armor on the right side. And then to the right of her, I don't know if that's supposed to be inspired by Widowmaker or something else, but in the back we have presumably a rocket-wielding character, possibly similar to Pharah, because if I remember correctly, I think that character actually jumps up in the air and then shoots rockets down just like Pharah's ultimate. And then in the center we have the Lucio/Tracer mashup, or at least that's what I assume it to be, because if you look on the left side at the character select screen, on the top row, second to the left, I think that's supposed to be the same character except with just glasses on, because the character has green hair that juts forward, but the glasses look a lot like Tracer's goggles, so I'm assuming that's what they're going for if the whole thing is meant to be similar to Overwatch to begin with. And then just from the avatars, it looks like the far upper left is supposed to be D.Va, the middle on the top is supposed to be some kind of Winston, except he's a panda instead of a gorilla, and then it looks like our Genji character with the white hair is still there as well. The reason why I didn't think these were the same game originally was because if you look at the in-game footage, you don't really see these characters in there, at least not exactly as they appear to be. But then again, there are so many clones at this point that it's kind of hard to keep everything straight. I mean, even if we go back to the original footage, it's more than just the heroes being really similar and the maps being pretty much exact. It's the entire game mechanic and how everything works. And a lot of people try to make the argument that Overwatch took everything from TF2, but they definitely did a lot of stuff that was their own, and they didn't take any exact maps or exact characters or anything like that directly. In this, even when you get an elimination, it's the exact same way that it's in Overwatch. It shows the name of who you eliminated and how much % damage you contributed to that elimination. And at the upper right hand corner of the screen, the way they stylize the kill feed is exactly the same. Not to mention the actual progression of what percentage of capturing the point you're at. The only difference is that it's kind of slanted instead of being straight. So the big question is whether or not Blizzard will win this. I think the fact that they're going through their own Chinese company probably helps a little bit, but as you've seen in most cases, even major companies that have IPs ripped off in China don't always seem to exactly win. The stuff continues to be ripped off because it's within their own legal ecosystem. And from what I understand, the way they approach intellectual property is totally different than the way that the US approaches intellectual property. It is kind of interesting that most of these clones are for mobile. And I don't know if that's because the cost of development is cheaper, or it's just because they think that China has a much bigger mobile demand than they do for a PC game. Or maybe there's some kind of strange legal loophole there where they can take exactly what you're doing and recreate it legally if it's on a different platform. I don't think that's true necessarily, but there's got to be a reason why so many of the Chinese clones based on Overwatch are specifically mobile games. And it kind of makes you think about the future for Blizzard and mobile, because from all the rumblings we've been hearing lately, it does sound like Blizzard is trying to make an even bigger push into mobile, especially with the massive success of Hearthstone, not only on mobile but in general, but having the mobile component to it definitely did help. There's been a lot of rumors floating around about the idea that Blizzard would make a mobile exclusive game, which would be something that is a pretty huge departure from what Blizzard is known for. But then again, so was creating an FPS. So how will all this legal stuff turn out? It's kind of hard to say. It's really strange that somebody who actually appears to be working with Blizzard would even attempt to make something like this to begin with when they have that relationship with Blizzard, because what does that really say other than they don't really respect the relationship, or they think that Blizzard wouldn't care, when clearly they do, because not only they're asking for damages, they're asking for an apology. So the question I have for you guys is, do you think based on what you've seen here and what you know about China that Blizzard will win this lawsuit? Let me know down below in the comments and we'll have a discussion about it. Or if you want to come over to the Discord server, it's over on discord.gg/onickel. So now it's time to announce the winners for the Steam cards, and if you didn't win, you can still enter by leaving a comment on this video for the next one, which is for Battle.net cards. And if you do end up being one of the winners here, please write me a message here on YouTube within 3 days at the absolute latest. And if you don't know how this works, by the way, you can leave a comment on any video from the time it starts until the video before the winners are drawn. 2 of those videos will be picked with a random number generator, and then a random comment from each of those videos will determine who the winners are. So the first of those 2 winners is Ramen, who left a comment that said, "Wait, how do we enter the giveaway? LMAO." That actually was your entry, so congratulations. You just won by asking the question of how to enter. And the second winner was Mushroom Gaming Incorporated, who left a comment that said, "This is so awesome." I think that must have been referring to one of the skins, but either way, congratulations to both of you. Definitely send me a message on YouTube as soon as possible. And good luck to everyone that's leaving a comment on this video or any of the videos that are coming up soon. But if you ended up enjoying the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But either way, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.